Getting the first layer of your 3D prints to stick to the build surface is like building solid foundations for a house. If you get this first stage wrong, it doesn't matter what you do afterwards, you'll be destined for failure. In this video, I'll show you 7 key factors that will affect first layer adhesion and how you can maximise each one to become a first layer master. Make sure you stick around to the end, because if you skip off early, you'll miss out on the one key trick that always gets me printing, no matter how stubborn the print surface or model.
This video is sponsored by F3DM.
So why is it so important that a 3D print's first layer sticks to the printer's bed? A 3D printer builds up a model by printing one layer at a time. Each position that the extruding nozzle moves to is precisely controlled, ensuring that material is deposited in the correct spot. If the model is not solidly stuck to the printer's bed, then the previous layer will not be in the correct spot and your print will fail. What complicates things is that when the print's finished, we want to be able to remove that model from the print surface. So sometimes we want our model to stick well, and then other times we want it to let go. This contradiction has meant the need for materials that interact with each other in different ways under different conditions, but also precise control over how those materials are brought together. I won't go into too much of the detail of what's going on when materials interact, but I will show you what you can do to control each variable and adjust them if you need to. So what's first? Well, before you even try to print on an FDM printer, you need to know that the conditions are the same at every point over the whole print surface. There's no point having areas where the print will stick and areas where it won't. The first thing we need to do then is think about tramming the bed. Many new printers have now completely automated the tramming process, and then others have made it completely unnecessary with better design and control. However, if you have a 3D printer with an adjustable bed, you need to make sure that it is parallel to the plane that the printer's nozzle runs through. What does that mean? It's a common misconception that we level the printer's bed. This misnomer leads many to think that a printer's bed needs to be level like a shelf. It doesn't. You could stick a 3D printer to the wall or the ceiling, it will still print as long as the bed is trammed to the other axe's movement. The method for tramming a 3D printer's bed can be different between models, so you're best finding a guide for your particular printer model. I have a few different videos that will certainly get you headed in the right direction, listed in the description below. Start here before deciding if you need anything more specific. Once your bed is trammed, we may need to start thinking about creating a bed mesh. It's all very well having a bed that's parallel to the nozzle's movements, but what if it's not completely flat? What the majority of machines can now do is create a virtual model of your 3D printer's bed. Once it's done this, the nozzle can actually move up or down to follow any contours and stay completely parallel, even with a warped bed. Not all models will have this feature, and if you're not sure if yours does, look for a bed probe. This will either be a physical probe that touches your bed to see where it is, or a non-contact sensor which can sense where your bed is without touching it. If you have a bed probe, then you should be able to create a bed mesh. Again, there are different ways of doing this depending on your printer's model, but the videos in the description will help you understand the process much better. All of the filament used in this video was supplied by our sponsor F3DM, who have just released their brand new UZY PETG range. UZY filament is known for its extremely high standards in dimensional accuracy, colour consistency and ease of use, which is why it's used by many of the largest print farms, and their newly released PETG maintains those market-leading standards. F3DM are able to maintain industrial standards of quality by manufacturing their own filament in Turkey and not just buying in generic filament from China like some others. UZY filament isn't only available to industry though. You can buy any quantity you like through their website, and they have a great range of colours to choose from. Next day shipping is available wherever you are, and they're now using an innovative reel design which not only looks great, it uses a combination of materials that makes it fully recyclable, which we like a lot. They also work well with the Bamboo Lab AMS and AMS Lite for all of you wanting multi-material printing. Check out their full range from the links in the description below. Once we have our bed trammed and our bed mesh created, we know that our nozzle will follow every inch of our print surface, but how far away will it be? The distance that the nozzle is from the print surface while filament is being squeezed out or extruded is one of the most critical factors to correct bed adhesion. As filament is being squeezed through a round hole in the nozzle, it itself will be round in cross-section. If your nozzle is too far from the bed, then this round section of filament will fall onto the bed, leaving very little material in contact with the surface we want it to stick to. What generally happens in this case is that the filament is much more likely to be pulled along with the nozzle rather than stick to the surface you just dropped it onto, and you end up with all your filament following the nozzle around the bed in an ever increasing blob. If your nozzle is too close to the bed, then in the case of it actually touching, no filament will be able to pass through the hole in the nozzle, and you're very likely to damage either your nozzle, print surface, or both. What we need to find is a happy medium of the two, where filament is squished into the bed the correct amount for best chance of sticking, but not squished so hard that it will actually restrict the amount of filament that can come out. This is where Z offset comes in. Again, this is not a feature that all 3D printers will have, but if you have a bed probe, your machine will use a Z offset. The term Z offset is used because when we adjust this parameter, we're telling the 3D printer to offset the whole Z axis and not just the first layer, as some have come to believe. The actual figure relates to where we want the Z axis 0 point to be in relation to the point where the bed probe triggers. This is why your Z offset will very likely be different to someone else's, even if they have the same model of printer. Your bed probe may be positioned slightly differently or have different resistances in its internal workings, causing it to trigger at a slightly different height. As long as it's consistent, it doesn't really matter to us what the actual figure is. So now we know what a Z offset is, how do we adjust it correctly? Adjusting the Z offset is actually pretty simple, but there is some strange advice from manufacturers as to what to use. What we actually want is a Z offset that tells our printer to consider the Z axis 0 point to be precisely at the end of our nozzle. This means that when we tell our printer to home the Z axis, the nozzle will just kiss the bed, not push into it or hover above it, leaving a gap. What many manufacturers tell you to do is to use a sheet of paper between your bed and the nozzle and adjust your Z offset down until it just grips the paper. The problem with this is that paper has a thickness. The thickness of your paper will be the amount that your Z offset is wrong. Most copier paper is around 0.1 millimeters thick. I'm sure it's easy to imagine that if you have a 0.1 millimeter gap between your bed and nozzle when the printer thinks it's at 0, when it then tries to raise to 0.2 millimeters to start extruding your first layer, it's actually 0.3 millimeters away. What I advise is to use something a little bit more accurate than a random sheet of paper, and then to actually account for the thickness of whatever you use in your Z offset. For instance, I often use a 0.1 millimeter feeler gauge. Once I feel the nozzle just start to grab, I then remove it, but adjust the Z offset by a further 0.1 millimeters to remove the gap. I go into more detail about this in printer specific videos, so go and check one of those out when we're done. So once I've set my Z offset like this, I can hit print and walk away, right? Not quite. You see, whilst I know that I very accurately set my Z offset, there can be some slight tolerance issues with all of the mechanisms involved, and there may be some further tweaking needed when you actually print. What I like to do is load up some filament and then start a print with a reasonable size first layer. Once this first layer starts printing, I then adjust the Z offset on the fly until it looks just right. But how do you know when it looks right? Well, that one deserves a video of its own, which I am making, and you can find a link to it at the end of this video. But don't skip ahead to it just yet, because even when you have a perfect Z offset, there are still a couple of hazards waiting to trip you up. So, assuming that you do now have a perfect Z offset, what possible other factors could prevent you having a good first layer? The next 3 tips are all quick and easy to solve, but you may not realise just how big an impact they have on the difference between a successful print and a failure. With your machine all adjusted and ready to go, the next thing to think about is how clean your bed is. Remember that we're relying on the filament temporarily bonding to the print surface while you continue to print. If your print surface is dirty, you're making that bond so much harder to achieve. You may look at your print surface and think that it looks clean, or even give it a wipe with an oily rag to remove any dust and think that that's enough, but most of the time it's not. If you've ever touched your bed with your bare hands, it's very likely that you're contaminating the surface with oils from your skin. All of these left behind contaminants reduce your first layer adhesion, so we need to remove them. The very simplest and best method I've found is to wash your print surface with ordinary dish soap in your kitchen sink. You can obviously only do this if your print surface is removable. Don't put electrical items anywhere near water. If you can't remove your bed, you can get very close to this level of cleanliness by using a spray cleaner like glass or window cleaner. Some glass cleaners can leave behind a bit of a residue though, so the alternative is to use IPA or denatured alcohol. This will remove all greasy deposits as well as any dust that may have fallen onto your bed. Once you have cleaned your print surface, it's good practice to avoid touching it with your bare hands if you can. Anytime you have to for any reason, then make sure you clean it again afterwards before printing. One thing I found very useful for removing little bits of filament without using your fingernail is these plastic bladed scrapers. They're very cheap and don't scratch your bed like metal ones would. I've got links in the description if you want to pick some up for yourself. If your bed is clean and you still can't get filament to stick, think about the speed that you're trying to print your first layer at. Any bond gets stronger if you give it a little bit of pressure for longer, and slowing your first layer down helps give this. This has become a bigger problem recently with the increased overall speeds that we are now seeing with better printers and firmware. However, just because your printer can move at 200mm per second, it doesn't mean you should increase the speed of your first layers. Unless you really need to save a couple of seconds, I'd advise keeping your first layer speeds down well below 60mm per second, and if you're having any problems with first layer adhesion, slow it down even more. There's very little to be gained with higher print speeds on your first layer, but a lot to be lost if your print comes unstuck. Again, when we're looking at factors that affect the way extruded filament sticks to your print surface, we need to consider temperature. Different filaments will adhere better at different temperatures, but generally speaking, a hotter bed will give better adhesion. This is why almost every 3D printer comes with a heated bed. The downside to a hotter bed can be detrimental effects like elephant's foot. This is a print defect in part caused by the first few layers of a print spreading out because of the weight of the printed material above it pushing down, and the temperature of the filament on the bottom few layers being too close to its melting point. Most slicers' default profiles are in the right ballpark when it comes to bed temperature, but it's worth checking if you're having problems. Generally, I start at temperatures of around 60 degrees for PLA, 70 to 80 degrees for PETG, and even up to 100 degrees for things like ABS or ASA or any other kind of engineering filaments. Experiment yourself to see what bed temperature works best for the filament you're using without causing any of those negative effects. If your first layer is going down well, but then the print is then releasing later on, check that your slicer isn't reducing your bed temperature after the first layer. A little cooling by say 10 degrees can help reduce elephant's foot, but any more than this can cause the bond to fail. Now my final tip for what to do if you've done everything else in this video, but your first layer still won't stick, is to use a bed adhesive. I know that everyone on 3D printing Facebook groups will label you an idiot and you clearly don't know what you're doing, blah blah blah. But here's a secret that not many beginners know. Pros use bed adhesive too. Yep, I use it, and not just because I can't get prints to stick otherwise. Now, I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I do have quite a lot of experience, and sometimes you just need a little help. I sometimes use a water-based bed adhesive because it's just easier and gives more reliable results. It also protects your print surface. Some filaments will actually bond too well to some print surfaces. If you print TPU to a build tack type surface, you're going to have a really hard time trying to remove it afterwards. I found this out the hard way and ruined a print surface early on. If I'd used a water-soluble spray or glue stick on the bed, then a quick soak with warm water would have released the print with no drama. The other time I use a bed adhesive is when I'm printing with a filament that's known for warping. I've been using the heated build chamber on my Chidi X Plus 3 to print some strong parts for a customer this week, and a quick spray of bed adhesive saves me hours that I would lose if the print warped and pulled from the bed. Parts can also warp as they cool, and the adhesive that I use doesn't let go as the temperature drops initially. This means that my parts are held flat while they slowly cool, stopping them from warping, rather than just releasing from a cooling bed as they normally would. Whatever your reason, use bed adhesive if you want, and don't think it says anything about your ability to use your machine. The point is to actually print stuff, not to print stuff in the most Facebook approved way. My favourite products to use are Elmers purple glue sticks and 3D lac. Both work very well, will help your bed adhesion and wash off easily with water or glass cleaner if you can't remove your print surface. Leave a comment down below with your tips for better bed adhesion if you think I've missed anything out, and check out some of those other videos I've mentioned either on the screen now or down in the description. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.